Well, YouTube, here we are, 1 year later. Today is Jay's Knitting and Purl Jam. It's our birthday on YouTube, all because of you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for, I just popped up one day and I don't know if y'all were enamored or just like, who is this person? But I thank you so much for letting me come into your lives, into your homes, and just let me share and just let me be myself. And I hope I'm a little better than when I first started. When you look at those first tapes, it's a lot to remember. And my son was trying to get me techno smart. He didn't want me to be a senior that just couldn't do any technical. And so I've improved. I've got a long way to go, but just due to the fact that I stayed with it, and now it's my 1 year birthday on the YouTube. And I thank you all because of you. It's all because of you. I'm telling you, I can't think of anything more exciting than to share and then have people to even like it and to want to even say, well, Jay, what are you going to do next? So I just want to say thank you. And I got a great way to show you too, but that's on down the road. Let me get to what I need to get to, and then I have a surprise just for you. In fact, I have 2 surprises, but one at a time. So the first thing I need to do is, like I said, I want to thank all of my friends on the YouTube for tuning in, for subscribing, for liking, for sharing, for things I don't even understand yet. All the Insta things and the grams and all these different Facebook. I don't understand. I just thank you that you would even come. I'm just humbled that you would even come and want to see what little bit I have to share. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I just enjoy it. That's all. And now I'm getting to enjoy you. And then I have some other friends, of course, I want to get to because I want to let them know how much I enjoy and appreciate meeting them. And, of course, I let them know about Jay's Knit and Purl Jam and for them tuning in. So I got a big shout-out list, so let's go so we can get to your big surprise. I know you want to get to your surprise, and you're going to love it. But I think I'm going to do it by store. That's the easiest way. That way I can kind of remember everything. First store I hit one day was Hancock's Fabric. There's one right up the street from my house. And while I was in there, I was just looking around, just always looking for something, that I might bring to Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. Something of interest or something I can kind of create or whatever. I like thinking things out of my head. I like that, because I use mainly stitch books. Well, I met Betty, and she was crocheting some hats. So, Betty, I hope your hats turn out great. I hope you found me on at Jay's Knit and Purl Jam, and I hope you're going to join us. Even though this is the ending of this year, but hey, hopefully we're going to start up again next year. Then there was Margot. Hey, Margot. Well, she knits and crochets, and we were both looking at some yarn. They had a 30% sale off. But they didn't have a big selection, like some of the bigger stores. But she said she wanted to get it going again, and she had found a sweater, I believe, that she had been working on maybe years before. You know how you find things and for some reason you might think, well, I think I can finish it. Maybe it would just be great to finish it. So, Margot, I hope you found the yarn, and I hope you can get your sweater finished. And, of course, I hope you tune in to Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. And I'll probably see you at Hancock's. Then I was up at Michael's. Oh, yeah, Michael's. I met Teresa. We were back in the yarns, and we were looking, and we kind of bumped into each other because we got enamored with something they had on display. Well, they were selling, but at Teresa, look, you remember these? They had these gigantic knitting needles and crochet hooks. I mean, the crochet hook was this large too. And we started laughing and thinking, well, what in the world will we do with them? Now, I didn't buy the crochet hook. I think Teresa may have. I had a coupon. And they weren't that, I think they were like $10, under $10. So I didn't really pay that much. This is a size US 50. I guess I could do some broomstick lace with it, I guess. Or I guess I can play some drums. They're too short to twirl. You know, I was a major rat back in the 60s. You know, look, you don't want to see that. Okay. So, but Teresa, she was crocheting, and I don't know if she got the crochet hook, but Teresa, I'm going to use mine. I got the needles, and I'm going to use mine, as you see, as decoration. And maybe you could use yours too. So see, I have my pretty basket. Now, isn't that pretty? Look. What a great idea. Like I said, maybe I can use it for broomstick lace. I don't know. But hope to see you again at Michael's. And of course, my favorite store, Joann's. I tell you, Jude and I we don't have, at our age, we don't have no more excitement than Joann's. And you're going to hear about that a little later. But right now, I want to thank Betty. I met Betty, and she loves beads. She's over in the bead department. And then there was Catherine, too, in the bead department. In fact, she was looking at some turquoise beads. I think her color was turquoise. So, Catherine, I hope you can, come up with something really cute to use those turquoise beads on. Then I was just kind of, these are all on different days. You know, I go there so much, so I can't remember all the days. But one day I was just, I ran out of a certain yarn, and I was just going to dash in and dash out. And as I was going around the aisle, I ran into a lady, and she had a whole big shopping cart full of clay. No, I mean, full of clay. And so I said, oh my word, are you a clay artist? And she said, yeah, she was really into clay. And we started talking, and her name is Martina. And she said that she was so interested in trying to get in craft shows. And I said, oh, I used to do craft shows years ago. And she, it's hard to try to figure out what's trending and where to start. So, I gave her suggestions, because in our area, we still have some school craft shows, and some large churches still have craft shows. I'm just not in the know of that anymore, because, like I said, I stopped doing craft shows years ago. It just took too much toll on your eyes. That's probably why I'm always trying to see. You got dry eyes, and a lot of people have a lot of physical problems over the years. But that's not to say that Martina can't just get into some craft shows. And Martina, just see, just go look at some first and see what's kind of trending. But clay work and see if there's other clay artists. Girl, I think you'll do good. Just don't go too large. Craft shows are for people that want to spend a little money and get a little, they're not out for big ticket items. So if that will help you. Oh, and to her friend Jackie, who crochets. Hey, Jackie. I hope you tune in. I hope you found me on YouTube, and I hope you tune in, and I hope you click that button to subscribe, girl, so you can get in on my knitting and crocheting and join us here at Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. Good to see both of you, I hope. Okay. Oh, then I met, I had another, first I met Crystal. Crystal and a friend were sitting there looking through some books and looking at some things they were going to make, and we started talking, and one thing led to another, and of course I wanted to tell them about Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. So I believe it's either her friend Pat or Kathy. I know there was two of them. So I know Kathy, who I spoke to, loved to crochet, and then there was Pat, and they belonged to a local crochet group. So in fact, I even got one of Crystal's cards. She does a cute little, she has a little crochet, and she does, I believe it's Nana's Crochet or something. So Crystal, I hope you, and I hope your group members, I hope y'all, tune in to Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. The things I crochet and knit, they're all free on the net. Y'all can all try them together. Y'all can come up with some other ways to do the stitch that I use. Hey, it's a lot of fun, and we'd love having you. So that's my big shout out to Crystal. Hey, and the crochet crew. That's what I'm going to call you. Crystal and the crochet crew. So, good job. Oh, and then while I was still at Joann's, another time, not all in the same day. Whew, I couldn't do it all in the same day. But I did meet my friend Melanie. And Melanie was knitting. She was knitting dishcloths. In fact, she stopped me in the aisle and we started talking. She said, well, she was trying to find some yarn for a certain project she's making. And it so happens to be a dishcloth for her friend. And she said, well, I just don't know anything else I can do. And I said, well, Melanie, think of this. Try this idea. I've done this just recently, and I know it works. A lady, Rachel, a friend, one of my husband's fishing buddies. I've never met the wife. Apparently, her hobby is to bake cakes. So she had baked us a cake, and I've never met her. She sent it to us, and it was wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. I hope you join Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. But get back to Melanie. So I told her what I did for Rachel. I said, well, every woman loves another casserole dish. I said, well, Melanie, why don't you just stop at one of the local stores? Everything's on sale now. And buy her beautiful, something, if you don't know her colors, get something very neutral, like white or something like that. Get a beautiful casserole dish. And crochet or knit up your dishcloths. Knit several up and roll them or put them into your casserole dish. And then another thing you can do, now, in our grocery stores, and in just about all of them that I go and buy my groceries, if you go in the deli, in the fish, in the produce, even in the meat, they always have recipe cards free on these little racks. Oh, honey, they have been lifesavers. You just grab up a few here and a few there and get some over here. And home, just kind of go through them, put them together in a little stack, tie a big bow around them, put them on top of the casserole dish. So, Melanie, I hope your gift turned out good. I know your friend is going to love it. And then plus to have the handmade dishcloths. I love giving the handmade dishcloths. I gave, like I say, Rachel had baked us a cake, and I sent her a beautiful white casserole dish with handmade dishcloths. And I told her how squishy it was. So I hope that your friend enjoys your gift, because I know it'll be from the heart. So good job, Melanie. Good job. Oh, let's see who else I had. My new friend, Naomi and Atia. Well, Naomi was there with some of her children, and she was telling me that she's a crocheter. So hello, Naomi. And Atia was standing there, and she had on this beautiful pink. I mean, you can tell when people, it was just beautiful. A beautiful crocheted long scarf with fringe, and had a slouchy hat to match. You didn't think I remember that, did you? It was pink, and it was pretty. And she was doing something that I'm trying to get into. She had put a charm on the little slouchy hat. I just thought that was so cute. Atia, that was so cute. Naomi, I'm telling you, good job. I hope that you have found me on the YouTube. I hope you join me at Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. I hope I see you again at Joann's. I just loved it. Everything. So, wonderful job. And let's see. Oh, before I turn, let's see. I had Candy. I'm kind of reading my notes so I can stay on point now. So now Candy, she was with, Candy was crocheting. She knits and crochets, and she was working on some baby blankets. Oh, Candy is the one who said, I not only knit and crochet, I'm knitting, now this is her words, a funky sweater for my grandpa. I said, oh, you are? I said, well, I hope he likes it. She says, yeah, I'm knitting a funky sweater for grandpa. I said, well, good deal. I hope grandpa likes it. So good job, Candy. And then her friend, Shantae, let's see, she was crocheting beanies. she was crocheting some beanies and she was looking at some books. So I hope that both of you have, like I said, joined us here at Jay's Knit and Purl Jam, and I just know you're going to have fun. All right, going back to one other. Oh, I need to do, Holly and Christy. I just met at Joann's. Holly is a mom, and she crocheted baby blankets or an Afghans, and she also knits. Christy was trying to get, she's a beginner, and she's trying to get into doing baby blankets. So I know the both of you will, I know your projects are going to come out beautiful. Stay with it. Don't give up, Christy. And of course, I hope you and Holly both join me at Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. Then, oh, this is a good one. At Walmart, I met Tia. Tia is a mom. And guess what? She's got twin girls. And she was buying crocheting hooks and yarn for her girls. And they were going to make some Christmas gifts for the grandmother. I hope I'm not spoiling it. So I want to give a little shout out. Well, I'll say a big shout out to Brianna and Kiara. Girls, I know your gifts are going to be beautiful. I know you're going to just love crocheting. So good job, Tia. Good job. And last but not least, my friend Tammy. Now, Tammy, I met at the mall. Judy and I were sitting there crocheting and knitting, and this wonderful, just happy-spirited person just walked up, and I mean, she just, you know how when some people can just come in and all of a sudden they just lighten up everything. And her, like I said, her name is Tammy, sweet spirit, and she really wasn't into knitting or crocheting, but she still wanted to talk, and she just loved sharing with us. And at the end, she said, you know, you two ladies are so nice and so wonderful. She said, I can just tell you both have sweet spirits. And she said, would y'all please just say a little something, a little prayer for my mom. So to Tammy's mom, Holly, in Florida. Holly, we want you to get well. Know that people are thinking about you, and we send good wishes to you. Isn't that wonderful? There's just no distance. So just know that you have two friends here at Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? To be tied just by something that we call a little craft. To be so excited that you can just meet friends everywhere. We're just like you two, you and me. And at this point, there's nothing else to say but to get ready to give you your gift so you can open it. So let me show you what Jay has on her knitting needles and what's in her knitting bag, just for you, my friends at YouTube. Thank you. Love you. Now, YouTube, your surprise. I just thought you'd like to have something, I don't know, angelic. And so this is Jay's Angel Wing Shrug. And it's soft and has beautiful shining glitter to it. And look, something we just finished working with, some sachet. I told you I had to find different ways to use it. And you say, well, Jay, why is it angel wings? Because of our lace wings on the bottom of each arm space. Is that pretty? And it has a beautiful lace back. I'm going to turn slowly. I think you can see the beautiful lace back. And it's just a combination of, especially for our still new knitters, we're just going to use a combination of stitches and things that we've already worked with to make this beautiful shrug. So from me to you, Jay's angel wing shrug. Enjoy! Now let's talk about this particular shrug. Well, as you know, a shrug is it's a great place to start for beginners, but you can use creative stitches to make it not such a beginner piece. And that's what I've tried to do on this one, so that we can have everyone to join in and enjoy and hopefully knit this beautiful shrug. All right, let's talk about it first. Of course, you can find them all over the net. You can find them in different places. It's basically a long rectangle that you will sew up 2 edges to form a arm space or a sleeve. And as you can see, and what I've simply done, I wanted to include, to keep us knitting forward, always adding a little something more than just the rectangle. I wanted to give you a nice laced edge, and it also runs over into your arm. So I thought, well, I'll do, and this is what makes this so great. This is a 1-row lace and a purl row. Now what could be easier than that? So we're going to start at the bottom, along the bottom edge of this rectangle. We're going to work this beautiful, the name of the pattern is the millipede. And I'll show you where I got the pattern from. And then we simply go into a stockinette. That's just something we can all do. And then we end in a 1-by-1 rib at the neck. And then, of course, later, we just, we were working with some of this sachet. I told you I had to think of ways to use it. And we're going to just add that on to the neck edge. And what could be prettier than that? So, let's get started. I'll tell you what you need. I'll show you all the supplies. We'll talk about the pattern for Jay's angel wing shrug. What could be prettier than that? Well, what do we need to get started? Well, first of all, great news. This project is a no-gauge project. Don't have to worry about size or working a swatch. It's just fun. So, this is the supplies you'll need. First of all, I am going to use Red Heart Shimmer. And I'm sorry I didn't have a whole skein left. This is all I had left, and I didn't feel like dashing out again. So I used, you would need at least 2 skeins of Red Heart Shimmer. I'm using, it's just the color red. That's all they call it. But if you look really close, there's some pretty sparkles. You've seen it. It's really nice yarn. Red Heart Shimmer. It's a medium weight, and they call for size US number 6. Well, this is a no-gauge project, and we're not doing that. Hey, we're not worrying about that. We'll just throw that out the window. Because we're going to use a number 9, a US number 9, to make this very loose and lacy fabric. It just knits up beautiful. So instead of a number 6, we will use a number 9 if you have a number 9. You can use a number 8 if you don't have a 9, but if you have a 9, it just makes it a little nicer. It makes the lace stand out a little more. So that's what I did. So, and you will need the pattern. This is the book that I'm taking the pattern from. It's Vogue Knitting Stitcherary number 6. You buy these books and you really need to know how to use them. And this is just a good way. It's a good beginner piece, but yet it's detailed enough that even intermediate or advanced could whip this out for a gift. I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. And the stitch I'm going to use is called millipedes. And it's just a 1 row pattern stitch. And row 2 is purl. And you can't get any simpler than that. You'll need some stitch markers, and at the end we will use some sachet to go around the neck edge. I'm trying to use up all this sachet. So and of course your scissors and anything else we normally knit with. I won't go through all that. Everybody knows what we need. Okay, but I just wanted to cover those 2 things: the yarn, Red Heart shimmer, and the pattern. And of course, since I do work out of stitch books, remember, everything I do, I make a formula, because there's no pattern. They just gave that stitch. We're going to learn how to design, or I'm sharing with you how my process of just taking and designing your own piece, just for you. I'm not trying to, do anything large. I just want to share how simple it is to have a nice, beautiful knitted garment. It's something that's going to fit you and you're going to love wearing. All right, let's talk about the pattern again. I've made my black and white. Maybe I ought to take it out. I always have that shine. Okay, I've made my black and white. And on this black and white, remember, I need to write down everything that I want to do for this pattern. I've put down, I'm using a US number 9. So if you want to make it for someone else next year, you'll know what needle to use. Number 9, I'm using Red Heart shimmer. Be gorgeous in black. Ooh. Okay. Now, all right, Jay. Like I said, there's great news. There's no gauge. And how are we going to figure out how many stitches we need to put on? Well, I'm going to turn over, and we're going to talk about our numbers that we already have. This is why I hope that you wrote down anytime we come up with some measurements that fit you. You need to keep a list of them. Just write them down. Sometimes I just write them on big index cards and call them cheetah cards and just put them there so I'll know how long my sleeve, or how long my front, how long my back. Then I don't have to. The whole idea of this is to take a pattern or design one and make it fit your numbers. Normally when you get someone else's patterns, you've got to try to make your body fit into the pattern numbers they have given. Sometimes it fits and sometimes it doesn't. Nothing wrong with that. And if you're a person that really needs to have a written pattern, then Ravelry is the best. I mean, you can't beat Ravelry. But this is just, like I said, I'm just sharing because I love stitch books. And it's great to know how to use them. Okay, now, you remember we had to get a range of numbers for your body. We've talked about it, and don't worry, I will always go over this step because it just needs to be reinforced. My numbers, we're going to use me as an example. My numbers are 92 to 96. I simply took my Jay's long measuring tape and wrapped it across from the left to the front of my body, pulled it nice and taut so that I can get an accurate count. I laid the tape down and I counted each stitch. And I may have to do it a couple of times to kind of, make sure of my, pulling and the stitches. And no matter what those numbers are, I always try to either round up or round down to a number that's divisible by 4. So for instance, if mine was only 90, I just round up to the nearest number divisible by 4. So for me it was 92. That represents my low range. That means at 92, the sweaters before have been nice form-fitting, body-fitting sweaters, not loose or meant to be worn under a lot of, with things under, a whole lot of clothes underneath. So that's my really form, body-fitting number. Okay, then the next number, you go up 4 stitches, It doesn't take that many stitches to change a gauge. You go up 4 stitches, divisible by 4, I have 96. This number is my number 8 number. My 92 is what I use my US number 8 needles. Those are my base needles. You will have base needles also. This will work. If your base needle is 6, 7, 8, you would do the same thing. You do all the knitting, you just go back over the tapes, you would do exactly the same, but using 6, 7, 8. I use 8, 9s, 10s. So for my number 8 needle, I know I'm going to work with like 92. And if I was going up to number 9, which I am, we simply add 4 stitches onto this and I get 96. If I wanted to knit this in a size 10, I would simply add 4 stitches on to 96 and voila, I'd have 100. And that's how I know how many stitches I'm going to cast on for this project. I'm making the project fit me. Okay, so for instance, but I decided because my arms are so short, I'm going to go with 92 instead of 96. You can go with, I could have gone with 96, but my arms are a little short and I wanted a bracelet length sleeve. I didn't want it to come way down. I wanted a little more of the bracelet length sleeve, or I call it my bangle or bracelet length sleeve. So it's just up a little bit. So I'm simply going to use 92 on this particular project, even though I just showed you the separation of needles. I'm just going to go with 92. 92 will represent the length of my shrug from the back of my neck down one side. Well, you have to have an opposite side. So I simply take 92 times 2 equals 184 stitches. If you have long arms, you'd go to your long number. You'd go ahead and do 90, whatever your top number is. Say if I was a little taller, which I was, 96 would probably be perfect. I'd simply take 96 times 2, and that would be my cast. That would be the number of stitches that I would cast on for the right and left side of my shrug. Okay, now, the next thing I want to ask myself, once I have how many stitches that I want to cast on this particular needle, do I want a border? And yes, I do want a border because I want this to represent the cuff right before, the end of the sweater, the sleeve, right here. So normally I use 4 on each side. So 4 and 4 is 8. So before I can find out about my pattern, I need to go ahead and remove these border stitches. So 184 minus 8 leaves me 176 stitches to work with for this pattern. Not counting the little 4 stitches on each border, it leaves me 176 stitches. Now, the millipede the millipede stitch calls for a multiple of 6 stitches plus 1 extra stitch at the end of the count. Multiple of 6, and after you find out how many multiples you want, then at the end of the count you would add 1. I have 176 stitches to work with for my pattern because I have the 4 stitches on each side. The closest I can get without going over 176 is 6 times 29 equal 174. And at the end, I have to add plus 1 equals 175 to put my lace design, my pattern in. 175. So if I take 175 stitches from 176 stitches, which I have allowed myself, I have 1 stitch left over. And in order to make the pattern symmetrical and to even it on both sides, you want to center the pattern. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of wonky. This is what you do. It's not a mystery. I'm going to go ahead and add 3 stitches to that one just to make it even. and I have 4 stitches left over. See, it's a lot easier to work with 4 stitches than to try to figure out, well, that 1 stitch, what do I do with it? You can't throw it out. No, you have to use it. So I go ahead and add 3 to 1, and I have 4 stitches left over. Now I can write my formula. My formula for Jay's Angel Wing Shrug is going to be a border of 4 stitches. I divide these 4 stitches left over. I put 2 on this side. In this big block is my field where I'm going to put my lace, 175 stitches, because that's what it multiplies out to up here. I have those 2 extra stitches here, and of course my border has to match on each side, so B4. So B4 to 175 for my lace, to B4 equals a cast on of 187 stitches for me for this shrug. What do you think of that? Is that a good review? Like I said, once you get this, it will come second nature. I don't have, the math is simple, and just think of it in very simple terms. So I turn over on my black and white. I'm going to cast on 187 stitches. I am using a size 9. I just thought the size 9, I thought, you know, that if I use a 10, it might have been too long for my little short arms. But you could use a size 10, but be sure to use the top number, the larger number. Okay, so my formula is, I've read that, I've cast on 187 stitches. Okay, now I'm going to work my lace pattern for at least 5 to 6 inches, your preference. If you're tall, you probably need to go 6 inches. If you're short like me, 5 inches will probably work just fine for you. And once you've accomplished that, the next right side row we will start stockinette knitting. That means knit on the front, purl on the back. Knit on the front, purl on the back. And you'll do that to your length. I'm going to do it. I'm going to repeat that for at least 12 inches. I have 5 inches for my lace. I've left 12 inches. And I'll finish up with however many inches I want to go. You know, my normal back length, or, you know, for my sweaters are 20 inches. You can stay within that, or on this piece, you can go over a little bit if you like to. But I'm going to do my stockinette at least 12 inches for me, only because I'm short. You know, if you're tall, you might go up 14 inches. Okay, and then you're going to end, after the stockinette, then we will go into a 1x1 rib, and you can do that for 4, 5, or 6 inches, whatever is your preference. And and then after that, you bind off. And then, of course, we will add the sachet once we sew everything together. Adding the sachet around the neck is last. And that is all there is to Jay's Angel Wing Shrug. Now, let's knit. As we get started on Jay's Angel Wing Shrug, we're using the millipede lace pattern, and I told you it was 1 row of actual design, and then of course our purl row. And I just thought that's nice after we've done so many long rows, and I wanted to give you a break, and this is just beautiful, and it's easy to remember, and so I think you're going to enjoy this. So we're going to get started. As you can see, I have already begun to work some of the rows just to have something to hold on to. And as I hold it out, I hope you can see that. You can see the nice pattern. And I just find it easy because I have a lot of this. This yarn is very old. I have a lot of the old original red heart, old basic red heart I use for Afghans. And it's, you know, quite hard. And so I just thought it makes a good practice yarn. So that's why I'm using that. But of course we, you know, This shrug, I'm doing it, of course, just a reminder, in Red Heart Shimmer to give it that nice soft. And you can do it in any color that you like. And this pattern, we're going to use a size 9, just to remind you. Okay, let's get started by, you've cast on your numbers. My number on the original was 187 for the red shrug. For my practice, I'm using 43 stitches. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 repeats to work with. And I think that's about it. And you'll need some stitch markers, of course. The very first row you'll work is the right side, row 1 of the pattern. So let's read through row 1 of the pattern. And it says, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, slip 2, knit 1, pass slip stitch over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, and repeat. So, like I said, I've already gone past row 1, but I am on the right side. And remember, now we have you have your formula. So that's what you're knitting by until you get to the pattern part. So my formula says that I will knit the first 4 stitches because that is my border. So I just simply knit those 4 stitches. On every side of the border, you just knit the stitches. Then I have a stitch marker. And remember, on my formula, I have 2 extra stitches to center my pattern. So the first 2 stitches I knit after I slip my marker. So that's 1, 2. Now, if you're not still comfortable, you can put a marker there to separate those 2 stitches also, just to remind you. Okay, now I'm ready for my pattern. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and put one so you can see me actually use it. So now I know those 2 stitches are the extra ones. Now I'm ready for my pattern. All right, it says knit 1, yarn over, knit 1. Now, slip 2. Just simply slip 1, slip 2, knit 1. Now reach and pull 1 slip stitch over and off the needle, and then reach back and pull the second one over and off the needle. Okay, knit 1, yarn over, and knit 1. And that's all there is. Now we'll do the repeat. It starts with a yarn over, knit 1, slip 2, 1, 2, knit 1, reach back and lift each slip stitch over one at a time. That's 1, and that's 2. Now knit 1, yarn over, and knit 1, and repeat. And the repeat starts again with a yarn over, knit 1, slip 2, 1, 2, knit 1, pass both slip stitch over one at a time, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, and repeat. Okay, let's go. Repeat is yarn over, knit 1, slip 1, 2, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, 1, 2, knit 1, yarn over, and knit 1, and repeat. Yarn over, knit 1, slip 1, 2, knit 1, pass slip stitch over. That's one more, two. Now knit one, yarn over, and knit one. And you can see I have 2 stitches. Just to remind you, I'll go ahead and use a marker. Those are my little extra stitches. So I knit one, I knit two. The next border, marker reminds me of my 4-stitch border. So I simply knit those also. And voila, will be your first row, right side done. Now we'll turn the work and we'll do the back side. Just to get you started. Okay, remember our 4-stitch border, you knit on every row. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then all the other stitches, and I think I kind of made a mistake on one of my patterns a couple of videos back. I meant to remind you that all the stitches, those are purled. So I put my yarn in front, I slide my marker, now I purl all stitches across the row until we get to the opposite border, and we will knit those 4 stitches. And it's just as simple as that. Oh, can you think of all the the pretty colors you might do this in? This is my Christmas surprise to you, but you may not get it done before Christmas. It's easy knitting, but it is still a lot of knitting. But you can always go ahead and work on it for another occasion, for something else that you might be going to or have plans. So I'm on the wrong side, so I am and we just purl. Row 2 is to purl, so and we're coming up to our first marker, which represents those extra stitches which we use to center our pattern. And I continue to purl. There's the marker right there. I slide the marker, continue to purl. I purl those 2 stitches, but the last 4, my border stitches, I want to put the yarn in back again, slide my marker, and knit those 4 off. And that will end row 2. And that is all there is. Row 1 and row 2. Let me turn it. Let you look at it. How easy is that? Okay, catch up, and we'll go to another step. As you can see, I've worked on my stockinette section, and that's to your desired length. On my original, I used about 12 inches because I'm doing the full length of my back, the 20 inches that I normally, use for my sweater. Like I say, you could always make it a shorty shrug. I just, can't, like I said, can't wear that one. So, staying in pattern, I knit the first 4 stitches. Before we start our rib section, we're going to start slipping the marker. In the very first stitch, I want to knit 1, This is a 1x1 rib. Yarn in front, purl 1. Yarn in back, knit 1. And you're simply gonna, of course, go across your row. Yarn in back, knit. Yarn in front, purl. This is a good way to, like I say, if you're still pretty new, you need to always, you know, try to use whatever stitches you've used in the past. You want to continue to use them. You don't want to, just think of ways to use your stitches. So on this particular little piece, we have the lace, the stockinette, and now we're doing the 1x1 rib. Nice piece. Nice transition. And we're just working across. See how pretty that's going to look? I found these needles. These are some new needles. I found them at Tuesday morning. I'll have to find the packaging. I've got it over here somewhere when I get to the end. And I bought them because, of course, they were inexpensive. Little stainless steel needles, and I thought, well, they're probably not any good. Man, they are nice, but they're not so slick that it works. When I try to use the real slick ones, it really cramps or wears my hands. I guess because they're just too slick for me, perhaps. I don't know. Now, I'm coming up towards the end of my row. Of course, your row is going to be much longer. Now, this is what I want you to remember. Just in case, like you say, you knew or you know, it happens to the best of us. Maybe somewhere along the line you lost a stitch. On this 1x1 rib section, we start with a knit and we need to end with a knit stitch. And if you have dropped a stitch somewhere, maybe you've lost a stitch somewhere when way back down here, you know, you didn't count again, don't worry. We'll just make one. If you've lost a stitch, just make one. Or if you've got too many. If you wind up with a stitch too many some kind of way, just knit 2 together as we get to the end of this. And as long as on the 1x1 rib, it needs to be an odd number so that you start with a knit stitch, but you want to end with a knit stitch. That makes that nice edge to separate your border from the rest of the field. So you don't want to start with a knit and then end with a purl. So let's just go back. I have a knit, purl, purl, and I'm ending with the correct knit. And slide my marker, knit off the 4 border stitches, and I'm ready to turn my work. Oops, sorry. And of course, this is the purl side, and you knit at all times. On every side, you knit the borders. Alright, and you're going to slip your marker. I'm going to put my yarn because I'm going to purl. So I'm going to slip my marker. Now on this side, as you can just pull the stitches down, you work them as you see them. So I see that it's a purl, knit, purl, knit. So you're doing just the opposite on this side. That's a purl. Now I can see that's a knit stitch. And it's back in pattern. Purl stitch. And yarn in back, I can see that's a knit stitch. And voila! You will continue across in pattern. And we will work the 1x1 rib. I worked it about another 4 and maybe even 5 inches. Depends on how much you want. It just makes the back of the shrug just look, it finishes it off and makes it look real nice. So I'll see you back in a few rows. Be careful. Make sure you're doing 1 by 1 rib and not 2 by 2. Sometimes you get in the rhythm and you forget which one you're doing. We're doing the 1 by 1. I've been working right along, and as you can see, I have finished some 1 by 1 rib rows to finish the top that represent the top edge of our shrug. And now I have begun to bind off in pattern. You want to make sure you do it in the same 1 by 1 rib. So I've just purl 1 stitch. Now I'm about, let's see, I knit a stitch, reach back, and bind off that stitch. Yarn in front, purl a stitch, reach back, and bind off. And you'll go all the way to the end. We're just binding off. And then I can let go of the marker and continue to bind off my 4 border stitches. And whoops. Well, I dropped one. Okay, I picked it back up. I think I had the lotion. I put lotion on my hands and they were a little slick. Okay, and of course well, man, I had a hard time getting that last little. Okay, then of course you're going to pull up a loop and I can remove my needles. You will pull up a loop and then we will cut our yarn. I wouldn't cut the yarn, leave a long tail because we do need to sew, but I want to, before we do that, I want to bring out the original because I want to show you where we are and so that you can get an idea. Oh, and by the way, I did find my packaging for the needle that I have. Now, you know, since I don't buy a lot of my needles from knit shops, maybe this is one that's familiar to you and maybe it's in knit shops. I'm not even sure how to say it. Shrug, I have no idea. Stainless steel circular needles. I have a 30, this was a 32-inch size 9, and look, $2.99, people, $2.99, and I got it at my local Tuesday morning. And they had a lot of different sizes, and I just racked up. Look, I treated myself, look, to Christmas. No, I didn't need any needles, but I can't pass up that price. I start a lot of things. I don't recommend that for beginners, but once I get an idea for a pattern, I go ahead and put it on needles. I can't wait till my other needles become free until I get through, because the idea might pass, you know, even if I write it down. I go ahead and maybe even start it or cast on. So I always have a lot of needles you know, so that I can just pick up and cast on anytime that I need to without having to worry about I've got to get one thing finished. It's not a great way to work, but it works for me. Okay, let me get the original shrug so we can talk about it first. I thought maybe before I pull out the original, let me just do this real quick just to let you know so that you will not make a mistake and not give yourself enough room for your arms to go into your shrug. You know, a shrug is basically done like this, a rectangle, and you go to the end and then you sew up so far, and then your arms go, this is like your armhole on each side. Okay, well on this particular shrug, and like I said, I will bring out the original, but this is what you're going to do. Like I left a long tail on the end, I just bound off, but this shrug, you will only bring this bind off edge right to the top of where the lace stops. Here's the right side. I'm going to turn it on the wrong side. I bring the top, this is the top of the shrug, down, and I only come as far as the top of where my lace edge rows actually stop as I went into stockinette. Now I like to, of course, you know, I like to take mine and steam it just slightly. I never touch the garment. I just usually have a little press cloth above it and just let the steam just relax it a little bit, just so that I can see what I'm doing and make sure I don't have any problems that I need to take care of. And so this is where you will sew. You will take a yarn needle, thread your yarn, your long tail that you have left on this side. Of course, you'll have to thread it for the opposite side, because before we can put our sachet on, we really need to make sure you have your arm space, and you will lightly pick up just small strands of yarn. You're not doing large stitches, just small stitches, picking up just and lightly pulling it. Don't pull too tight. Just a little hint of, say just a little hint. Pull it through so that it's really invisible. You don't see it. You stay right where at the edge of the lace, right above it. Pick up a few strands of yarn from below. Pick up, and you just continue on across. Of course, you're going to go so far and then stop, because that will be the neck. Okay, and then of course you'll go, you know, you'll have to thread your needle and come on this side and do the same thing and come up and leave the space open for your neck. It's just, it's cute working on this little small size, isn't it? Oh, I guess you could use for a doll if you have a granddaughter or little girl. It could be a cute doll sweater. Okay, so let me get the original right quick. Hadn't thought of that. Okay, so here we go. Oh, in the big girl size. Okay, here I am. Here's my shrug, and I have, here's the bind off. Here is the 1 by 1 rib. I've pulled it over to meet the top of the lace. You see, I know how much arm space that I can get my arms in there. You stop too quick and then you sew up things you can't get your arms in, so you don't want to do that. So make sure you do quite a few rows. Let's see, about, like I said, I think I have about 5 inches of lace and probably about 5 inches of ribbing. So that's an easy thing. You can kind of make these two match if you want to. Whatever you did on the lace, you can do on the ribbing section to make sure you have enough room for your arms on each side. Okay, so now I've done a nice little simple stitch. You really can't see it, and of course this is on the inside of your arm anyway, so you're not going to see it. This is one side. Here is the neck area that I left open. This stuff is just sticking to my nails. Okay, and then of course you have the opposite side, and it's just the same. Now, I did go back and put some buttons. I had these cute little gold buttons, and I thought, oh, how cute and I had 4 for each side. That's just you if you want to. But I did do buttons there. Okay, the only thing we have to do now, once you have sewn everything together and you know that, tried it on before you actually tie off anything on your sleeve, try it on. And I suggest on shrugs, for me, not to go up too high toward your underarm. I like to leave a little more room, otherwise you can't move your arms right or it looks funny. So leave you know, don't sew it up, you know, so that it's too close to your underarms. Leave plenty of space. This is why we cast on so many stitches. That's why we use those numbers we already had. Now, let me get my yarn needle ready. Let me turn it around so you can see the back again. And then we're going to sew, the fun part, our sachet. Sorry, I hit the camera. We're going to sew our little sachet on the top. And guess what? It's just like I just did on the little accent video. We're going to use thread and a needle, where your matching yarn, and your thread, your yarn needle. And we're just going to go with our little gathers along the neck edge. That's it. All right. Let me get my sachet ready. And we're almost done. Oh, this is so soft. It is so soft. Okay, so I have, I just cut a little piece of my sachet so that I could demonstrate. But when you do yours, do not cut. Work from the ball, because you don't know how much it's going to take together for your neckline. So you don't want to cut and be short. I'm just cutting a sample so that I can demonstrate to you. So, and on the sachet, we will be working on the end that's normally known as the bottom end, where the looks like little railroad tracks. This is the top end that we're working on, where we're gonna sew. So the first thing, just like in the accent video, I just want to tie a knot on one end, and then I'll take a pair of scissors and just kind of trim that knot a little bit, trim back a little bit. Just make sure your knot is tight. Now, like I said, we're going to be working with that little strand at the top. That. Alright, so I want to bend, I want to turn the knot back on the inside, just fold it back. Then I'll pick up my yarn needle with my yarn that matches. Of course, I'm leaving this red so that you can see it. And you can leave a tail in case we need it for something. And then just go back into that same, like a back stitch. That just locks it in so that it won't move. Don't lose your tail when you start pulling. Okay, so now see how it's locked in. Now I'm simply going to start my gathering, but I'm going to go ahead, and while I'm going to do another back stitch, and this time I'm connecting it to my neckline. And of course, I would be using red on red and not on the white. And then I'm going to stick my needle in and start gathering up and down, catch a little bit of that knot, up and down, pull it. Don't connect to the knit yet. Do a few gathers, up and down. Make sure you have it so you have the little railroad tracks that you're going up and down in. You're just gathering. Pull it tight, slowly, so that your yarn won't tangle. And then you can stop and take a little stitch. The next, you can go into the yarn and take a stitch. It kind of back stitch it or pick up. See, now it's connected. That much is connected. Then up and down, up and down, up and down. You're just gathering. I'm not trying to slowly pull. Okay, you do that. Then you can take another stitch into your knitted area, into the yarn. And let's continue. See, this is why you don't want to cut it, because you don't know how much yard you're going to need for your gathers. So, up and down, up and down, up and down. Here we go. And you just kind of do it for You can count 5 or 6, 7, 8, whatever you want to do. Doesn't really matter, but when you pull it together slowly, then you go into your knit and pick up a stitch, go right through both your sachet and the yarn you're attaching it to. And if you need to go back and maybe you missed it a little bit, just go back, because your yarn is going to match your thread is going to match your yarn. Okay, you see that? Okay. I'm telling you, the only thing about this is the fingernail, the snagging. Up and down, like working with sandpaper. Up and down, just gathering up my little sachet. Ruffle, pull slow. If you pull too fast, it'll catch and knot. And then after I do that, I'm gonna reach down, grab and go right into the knit like a back stitch. See? Now, isn't that pretty? And you see why you don't need to cut it. Of course, you're going to be working from the full ball. You just keep pulling and pulling. Now, when you get to the end, you will simply knot this end. You know, when you get all the way to where you need to go, close to the underarms, knot that, snip some of the excess off, make sure your knot is secure, that's not going to come loose, and then fold it inside and continue on with your gathers, just like I did on my accent. Ain't that pretty? Now I want to see the real one. It's so hard to see it on that white. Let me go pull the red one back again. Now, see how full it is? And I just up and down, a little bit, stop, pull it tight, you know, gather it up, then connect it with, just connect it right on. See, you can't see it because we're using the matching thread, matching yarn, so you don't see anything on the neck edge. It just looks nice and neat and pretty. But on the back, you have this beautiful, and then you have to stop, and after you're all done, you pull all of this out, just like we did on the little accent piece. All the gathers, look at that. And woo, beautiful. So you have lace, stockinette, ribbing at the top, and some sachet. Well, what do you think of Jay's angel wing shrug? I hope you enjoy it. I know you're going to look pretty. I want to wish you the merriest Christmas possible. And until we meet again, this is Jay from Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas to all my YouTube friends. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And stay tuned, because I forgot to tell you, I've got a second surprise. Woo! See ya!